Hey kids, so today I have actually done some work for a video. I've made a tier list for Age of Empires 2 civilizations up to the Rise of Raja's expansion and the 2019 balance. And this is for AoE2 civilizations tier list maker on tiermaker.com. And to get on tiermaker, I actually had to set up a Twitter account. So, okay. If you want to come follow me on Twitter, I guarantee you I will have less content here than on YouTube. So don't expect much. Oh, it looks like I have one follower already, actually. Oh, fuck yeah. Fucking Viper, man. Follow me. Anyway, that's how I had to log onto this site. So if you want to come follow me on Twitter, it's up in the air whether I'm going to tweet or not. So the way this works, S tier, obviously the best tier. S is best, as they say. A, second best. B, third best, etc., etc. D, Vietnamese, where are... No, we'll save that for later. And you just pick and drop. And I'll provide the link in the bottom description of this video. And now I'm going to go through it. Obviously, you might be asking yourself, Dave, why the fuck would we care what your tier list is for competitive AoE? And that's a valid question. I mean, I've never really played at a competitive level in RM. I mean, the highest I got was like 1850 on Voobly team games. So like, not really your trusted position. But I have casted thousands and thousands of expert games, so maybe I have something to provide. Anyway, gonna go through it right now, and I guess I'm just gonna go left to right. Byzantines. Byzantines, very interesting civ. I'm tempted to put them A or B because they have such a huge tech tree, and you can always resort to the trash if you want to flood your opponent. The only problem with Byzantines is they don't really get an eco upgrade, so that'll demote them from A to B. I really love Byzantines. If any of you really know me, you know that my favorite player ever is Chris, who, I swear to God, the guy, Canadian legend, by the way, for any of you newcomers. He was like top 1 or 2 in the game for years and years and years. And I swear to God, the guy, every time he gets Byzantines, he is a fucking champion, and I've never seen him lose with them, so... I'm going to say they're an underrated civ, but I'm still going to put them at B tier. Berbers? I'd put Berbers at A tier. The cheaper stables really helps them in Castle Age. And they can always transition from scouts into camels or knights, and then from camels or knights, they can go heavy camel into cavalier, and then eventually go into their camel archers in Imperial Age. It's really smooth transition with Berbers, and I think that helps them a lot in competitive 1v1s. Chinese. Now, for a long time, Chinese were, I'd say, B tier, but now with the new maps like Hidden Cup Arabia, and we had NAC Arabia, where the sheep were closer to the TC, I'd put Chinese A tier, and I'd say A plus at the moment for those maps. Any map where you can have your food really close to your town center, Chinese, because they start with the 6 villagers and every other civ starts with 3 except for Mayans, it's a really big advantage. And if you play it right with no idle time, you'll be ahead by about 2 villagers, and even if you have some idle time, you'll usually be ahead by 1 or 1.5 villagers, so it's really nice. Celts, another civ like Byzantines, except they have the opposite problem than them. They don't really have a versatile tech tree for Castle Age into Imperial Age. Once they get into Imperial Age and post it, they're fine. You can go into Woad Raiders, you can go into Halberdier Siege. But it's really that Castle Age where it slows them down. And even though they have the eco bonus of the 20% faster wood chopping, which should be really, really good and should put them into A tier. They kind of get demoted down to B tier just because it's so slow to transition from like let's say you do a man-at-arms or a drush with Celts. What do you do in Castle Age? Your knights don't get bloodlines. You can't really go longswords. You can go crossbow and mangonel, or maybe pike and mangonel. But the problem with crossbow mangonel is you can't get bracer in Imperial Age. So you're not really going to be able to keep with that army if you build up those numbers and keep them alive into imp. So Celts kind of struggle there. These are Ethiopians, another B tier. I think Ethiopians, underutilized civ. I think the archers are really strong, and the bonus of the 100 food and 100 gold every time you age up is like finding money in the sofa in the couch. I think I've said that before. Like, it's like you never expect it, and I feel like pro players aren't really factoring that in. Some of them do, obviously, but they aren't really factoring that into their build orders. And they're going with more of a standard build with Ethiopians. I think if someone could specialize with that civ, they could do a lot of damage. Franks, oh, this is another A+. This is another A+. The only reason I'm not putting it S tier, because I think Franks are the best Arabia civilization currently, is that they kind of struggle on other maps, where the scouts into knights can't really come into play. I'm going to put them in A, but it's an A+. I'll put them at the front of the pack in... Hello? Hello? Thank you. I'll put them at the front of the pack in A. Franks, the food from the berries and the farms are nice. The nicest part about them, though, is that you always know what you're doing with Franks. You're going scouts, into knights, into paladin. I mean, occasionally you'll mix it up. Maybe if you're against Indians even, you'll mix it up with some, maybe some monks to complement your knights, or some pikemen in Castle Age, and then you'll go into throwing axemen, halberdier, and Imperial Age. But for the most part, you're going scouts, knights, paladin. And all three of those units gets bonus for Franks, so really, really strong civ. And I want to say that the lack of having to think of a strategy with Franks gives you time to counter whatever your opponent's doing. So they're really, really nice civ. Burmese used to be S or A tier when the Arab buy were cheap. By the way, this is the civ where I put Burmese because it's not clear that's an Arab buy, because I couldn't find a fucking good picture of an Arab buy. I had to find and upload all these pictures. So appreciate me. Follow me on Twitter. Not sure if I'll say anything, but you know how it is. Burmese, they used to be S or A before the Arambai cost more than they do now. I think everyone overvalued Arambai when they were cheap. They thought they were such an OP unit, but they were only OP because they're cheap. They're basically like a shittier version of a Conquistador. So I'm going to put them B tier because they still get the free wood upgrades. They still have Arambai option in Castle Age, so it's still a really nice civ. Goths, ooh, team games, Goths, A or B. 1v1s though, they really don't have many options. Like, they got the infantry bonus, fine, for the barracks, but it's so obvious what you're gonna do with them, right? Like, if you go scouts into knights, eventually you're gonna transition into infantry, and your enemy can just tell exactly what you're gonna do. Like, you're never gonna go archers with Goths. You're never gonna go range units unless it's out of like desperation or it's a YOLO play, right? Eventually you're gonna get into those infantry spams, and they can usually counter that pretty easily, and usually you get your eco hit before you can really get your flow going in a 1v1. So I'm going to put them C tier. They're not quite D tier. They're C tier. Huns. This is tough. I'm going to put them A tier. They've been A tier forever. Forever, ever, ever, they've been A tier. So I'm going to leave them there. No house bonus is really good. They have tons of options. In Castle Age, probably the most versatile civ. They can do whatever the fuck they want to do because they can transition into whatever the fuck they want to transition in the Imperial Age. So yeah, Huns are great. Incas, I'm going to go B tier. And the reason I'm going B tier is because they don't really get a great economic bonus. I mean, they have the houses that have 10 population, but other than that, they're very strong in Feudal Age. And they are decently strong in the opening of Imperial Age. Post-Imp, not so much. Well, it depends on what civ you're against, but against a lot of civ, Post-Imp, not so much. Limited options. And Castle Age, again, limited options. So I'm going to leave them at B tier. Malay, another civ I think people aren't fully utilizing yet. We'll see where the meta is in a couple years. But I'd put them at... See, it's really tough because I want to include water maps, right? It's not just Arabia that I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of water maps and Mega Random and all that jazz. So it's like a B plus for me, for Malay. Because they are very, very good on maps like Hamburger or like Rooster or Islands or... B. We're going B. Indians. This is Indians, by the way. Another civ I couldn't find a proper fucking image for. Indians used to be A tier. Indians are B tier now. Great economic bonus. But once again, very, very predictable what you're going to go into. You're going to go into camels. And once players see that you're Indians, they are going to start formulating strategies against you. And I think that's the Indians' weakness right there. Italians, good on water maps, good on maps like Nomad. B tier. They can make it work on Arabia occasionally. I mean, they're not terrible, but they're not great. So, and how often do pros play water maps? So, competitively anyway. They are B tier. Japanese, oof. I'm going to put them A tier. Just because they're pretty good on Arabia, and they're really good on everything else. The cheaper economic gathering buildings like lumber camps and mills and mining camps and everything like that really, really helps them. And they have tons of options that they can go for, both on water and on land. So I'm going to leave them at A tier. Khmer. Another civ I think people aren't utilizing fully, but I'm going to toss them in the C tier. This tier for Khmer, this is something that I think in a year or 2 years, when someone develops a proper build for Khmer to utilize the fact that you can garrison in houses, to utilize the fact that you don't need buildings from that certain age to up to the next age, I think we're going to see a lot of different strategies come out for Khmer, but obviously that takes time. And even though their Imperial Age is so strong, you need so much gold for that, so I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it at C. Koreans, another C. They can have their moments. They can do some damage, you know. But it's, you know how I was saying the Celts were a slow transition? The Koreans are the slowest goddamn transition you've ever seen in your life. Like, Koreans, they struggle unless you're going for towers. And even if you go for towers and you damage your opponent beyond belief, like, let's say you tower rush Franks and you do so much damage to them, that dude is still going to be ahead of you. Like, that's how goddamn slow the Koreans are. And even if you go for like towers in the castle, your war wagons produce slowly. They're very slow moving. They don't have that much range and mobility. So the other player could just go full on gold, go into monks, start converting them, and then they have war wagons to fight your war wagons. So it's a bit tough with Koreans, especially ever since they nerfed that building speed for the towers. It was initially on the balance patch like a year ago or something like that. Ever since they nerfed that, Koreans have gone down to C tier. Magyars. I want to put them up at A tier, but I'm thinking about all the water maps I was mentioning for civs like Japanese and Italians. I'm going to put Magyars down here. Magyars are a very, very strong civ. B plus civ on the tier list. Yeah. They get that attack bonus for their scouts, so they can go scouts into knights, into cavaliers. And then they can transition into cav archers. They're basically like Huns, except Huns are stronger at the beginning stages of the game, and Magyars are stronger at the end stages of the game. They can both go for the same basic compositions. It's just Huns are a bit stronger earlier, and unfortunately for the Magyars, that's where most expert games are decided. Persians. I think Persians get a bad rap. I'm going to put them in a B tier. They have the faster producing TCs. They've got the knight bonus against crossbows. They've got a pretty good tech tree. Their only fallback is that they don't get bracer. And they don't get arbalest. So I think they don't get arbalest. Fuck, man. You guys are going to hate me if they do get arbalest. No, they don't. They don't, right? No, they don't. They can't. They must not. They can't get arbalest. Anyway, they can't go crossbows really in the Castle Age if they want to hope to transition into arbalest in the Imperial Age. So it kind of slows them down a bit. But if you're going scouts into knights, into paladins, they're very, very strong civs. So I'm going to put them in B. And they can boom up in team games. Although we're not talking about team games. So, and in water maps too. They have faster producing docks. So that's very nice. Portuguese. It's like, it's either a C plus or it's a B. I'm going to go with B. They save gold on shit sometimes. I don't know. To be honest, Portuguese is the one civ on this list I know the least about. Like I just don't care for Portuguese. Every time I go Portuguese, I try and troll with organ guns, and it fails miserably. So I'm going to leave them at a B tier because I've seen a lot of games where pros have gone Portuguese. So Saracens, C tier. This is one of those civs where I keep talking about civs like Khmer or civs like Malay, where I think the meta hasn't developed. Saracens, there's been more than enough fucking time for the meta to develop on this, but it still hasn't. And I think their market bonus could be utilized a bit better than it is. I'm not the one to figure it out. Someone will eventually figure it out. But at the moment, C tier. In post-imp, very strong. Very strong civ. They have lots of tech options, but it's, once again, it's that transition from age to age to age. And they really don't have a strong feudal option because they don't have an eco bonus. They don't have a great castle option, and they don't have a really great early imperial option. So I'm going to leave them at the C tier. Mongols, A tier. They would be S tier if they had a good option in Castle Age, but they don't. Even with the Castle Age Magadai now being a bit of a better option with Wallow Kingdoms and all the expansions, I'm still going to leave them at A tier. Their scouts in the Feudal Age, because they get that hunt bonus and can go up earlier, their scouts are very, very strong and can sometimes finish a game or put you at a really strong advantage and give you that time to get to your Imperial Age composition. And that's why I'm putting them at A. The reason I'm not putting them at S, like I said, mid to late Castle Age and early Imperial Age. Mongols need a lot of time to get into Elite Magadai, Siege, and Hussar or Halberdier or whatever else they're going to accompany that. They need time. And a lot of times in expert games, you don't get that time. Your opponent won't give you that time. Slavs. Oof. It's either an A or it's a B+. In 1v1s, I'm gonna put it at an A. The farming bonus is too good. Too good. Spanish. This is a It's either a B or a C. I'm gonna put it at B because I saw it a lot in Hidden Cup. I saw a Spanish option being picked. I think the Spanish option is strong when you have at least one safe wood line and one safe stone. Then Spanish can be a very, very good civ. I think with like the King of the Desert 2 maps that we saw in King of the Desert 2, where the wood lines were very sporadic and the resources were all over the place and very forward, Spanish are not a good pick. You need at least one safe stone, one safe wood line to go Spanish. Aztecs. A plus or S? A plus or S? I'm going to put them as A plus because of water maps. So they get the villager carrying bonus, which is very nice. They get the extra golds, which is very nice. They can go eagles. They can go archers all the way through to Imperial Age. They can go men-at-arms forward. You can go Drush with the additional militia. Like, Aztecs are just... They're very, very strong early. Obviously, they lack options later in Imperial Age, but they're very strong civ. Vietnamese, deep. Vietnamese, I think Vietnamese... Now, people always talk about how to balance Vietnamese. I think from the perspective of the people who created Vietnamese and tried to balance them, they were very, very nervous about that Imperial Skirmisher upgrade. Because what other civ gets a unit for the entire team that does not cost gold? That the other team can't get? I mean, there's... The only other thing I can think of is Italians with Condottiero. But that is very expensive. Whereas the Imperial Skirmisher is not that expensive, and it is a massive upgrade if all 4 players on your team can get it. I don't want to go into like balance changes for Vietnamese, and from my perspective, I think Vietnamese, all they need is Siege Ram and Blast Furnace to give them that extra little oomph power in Imperial Age. But they are D tier. Really, really awkward transitions with this civ. Really, really weird unit compositions through the ages. No real eco bonus, and they just struggle in 1v1s. Malayans, A tier. Malayans are definitely an A tier civilization. The wood you save on buildings is very nice. You have a ton of options. They kind of struggle a little bit in late imp, but like I said before, most pro games are settled before that. Teutons, in a 1v1 situation, I'm going to put them C tier. They're C plus, though. I don't think they're as bad as people say they are. They have tons of options. I mean, they can go scouts into knights into paladins, and they have the cheaper farms, which is good. Once again, they can't go into that archer option, which, if you notice a trend, like all the civs that can't go into Arbalest later really kind of struggle, and if they could, they'd probably be up another tier. Like Persians would be up there, Indians would be up there, Teutons would be up there, Celts would be up there. If you can't transition from Castle Age, from feudal archers to Castle Age crossbows to fully upgraded Imperial Arbalest, you're always going to struggle in pro games. Britons, I'm going to put them on B tier. I don't want to put them on A tier, maybe a B plus. But once again, they don't have that knight option, so not very versatile, the civ. They do get the cheap TCs, though, which is nice. You can boom under pressure. Mayans, the only S tier, in my opinion. The only S tier on this list. Mayans can play any map perfectly. There's not a single map that they struggle on, and that's my S tier designation. You have the Mayan privilege. You can get hit again and again and again, and you still have a chance. I've seen so many times where pros are behind by 20, 30 villagers. They secure their base, get a castle down, get up to Imperial Age before their opponent, and then slowly start building those plumed archer numbers and putting pressure, raiding on all sides, and it's just ridiculous what the mines can do. with that eco bonus of gathering extra resources, the cheapness of the plumed archers, the option to go into eagles, the option to go into arbalists if they want to, siege ram to help them push. It's just a very, very strong civ. Turks, C tier. They're good on some maps, but you need gold. And any civ where you need gold to succeed, see Turks, Khmer, Koreans, Saracens. Like, it's a common theme, right? Any civ where you absolutely need gold to succeed is going to struggle. Vikings. Ooh, do I put them B tier or A tier? Are they a B plus or are they an A? I put them B tier. They're B plus for sure. Vikings, free wheelbarrow, free handcart, very, very strong, especially with the new Berserk upgrade a couple years ago where they get attack bonus versus cavalry. Now suddenly they can deal with Paladin, which they couldn't really historically do before. So that ups them from a B to a B plus. I'm actually going to put them at the front of the list because I like Vikings. And I think they've shown in expert matches that you can beat any civ with Vikings if you have the correct map generation. If you can wall off, if you can boom behind, they're so deadly in that early imp stage. If you get to imp before your opponent with Vikings, if you have a massive crossbows, you can upgrade right away to Arbalest and maybe have some trebs to back that up. Ooh, they can be deadly. It's so hard for other civs to keep up with that and to keep up with the free wheelbarrow and handcart as well. And they can go for early push in Feudal Age with Men-at-Arms towers as well. Or just Men-at-Arms. Or a Drush. Like, they have a lot of options. They're a great civ. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. That's my tier list. Let me know if you agree or disagree. If you disagree, you're fucking wrong. But, yeah, let me know. And if you want to do it yourself, I'm going to have the link to the tier list and the bottom description of this video. You can fill it out and put it on Reddit or wherever the actually go on T90's Discord and at T90 official. I'm sure he would love to see all of your tier lists. So do that. And yeah, thanks for watching, boys.